Hello everyone. Some sad story written by Bharat, aka myself. Dear PDF lovers, find the link in the description and have fun. Chapter 3, The Last Page. It's a toddler tantrum to fight for the window seat. However, Page dealt with miscreant juveniles who smudged the line between naivety and maturity, playful and awful, childish and wildish. In her defense, her claim wasn't age-dependent. If a group of 7-year-olds could bully their 22-year-old teacher, would it be too much for the teacher to desire a window seat in the bus? She wished, she willed, what she willed was fulfilled. An amusing journey in the seat of her choice. She got down at the busy Everton bus stop that bid her goodbye as she started walking to her house. In a matter of 10 minutes, she went from the actively noisy bus stop to the awkwardly noiseless area where her beloved father acquired his dream house. Deserted grasslands, uninhabited grassless lands, uninhibited rodents, and undying silence were the sights in all 4 directions. The bus stop and its surrounding shops resembled tiny ice cubes behind the trees when she looked back. There was that one guy as usual selling street food from a cart on her way home. To the west of Page's house was the street food seller and then the bus stop far away, and to the east was the market. Keeping in mind all of this, she had to wonder whether her dad's decision to buy the house in the middle of nowhere was an example of relentless pursuit or an example of what not to do. After 20 minutes of walking in total, it was 4 p.m. and she was home. It was another instance reminding her that she covered the same distance in the morning, only to miss the bus and be kissed by luck to reach school in time. Opening the big iron gate, which had a lotus engraved at the center, she walked about 15 steps and knocked the main door. There was no answer. 10 seconds passed and the silence stood persistent. She knocked the door hard to send echoes of her arrival inside, and nothing but quietness came as a reply. Giving up on patience and other options, she took out the key from her bag and opened the door herself to let herself in. Paige was pro-hygiene and anti-disorder. Preferring things to be placed where they belonged, she took off her footwear, kept them in the designated rack near the door, and set foot into the hall. The old-fashioned wooden chair seemed slightly off. The ceiling fan was swirling without anyone below. She turned it off and rushed to the kitchen for a critical check. The gas knob pointed to off, thus relieving her anxiety. Phew! She exhaled like a person rescued from drowning and drank a glass of water from the fridge before throwing her bag on the sofa in the hall. The television wasn't running, but the switch was on. Not again! She groaned in disappointment and slowly got up while being swayed by laziness and tiredness on either side and flipped the switch. With suspicion scratching the surface, she scanned the walls inch by inch with her eyes to look for more opportunities that might make her say, "Not again!" again, and sat down after a thorough check. The day's newspaper caught her eye on the table. Its state was lamentable, crumpled like a squeezed lemon. A green towel was peacefully sleeping above the newspaper with care for nobody. Some things just don't change, she said to herself and laughed. Dad, I'm home! Nothing but the buzzing wind was heard. The house was quiet and eerie. Dad, I know you're watching basketball in the bedroom. Come out now! A bigger silence than previously heard. She decided it was futile to call him like a pet, and weaponry was the best choice to summon him. Dad! Oh my God! It's broken! Our big mirror in the hall! It's broken! Out went the faceless silence, and in came the sound of familiar footsteps. Along came the noise of turbulent breathing. A figure appeared in the direction of the footsteps. Like a mother who hurries after hearing her baby cry, Gary hurried to the hall to save his beloved mirror. What? Where? How? How did it break? Couldn't you be careful? What am I supposed to do but lie? Only a dramatic lie can get your attention. No, I was busy. Great, I'll give you 5 seconds. Tell me what you were busy with. Paige, What? We, huh? My retired dad reminds me of Alex, and Alex reminds me of my retired dad. I don't know who's mental. Who was Alex? Leave that. I locked the door and tell you to be safe, but you sink in basketball and can't even hear me knocking the locked door. Dad! I did as you instructed. You told me to be safe. I was in the bedroom. Extra safe. Obedient. If I didn't have the key, I'd have been knocking forever.
What are you saying? I would have pounced like a cheetah and opened the door.
Mom, why did you give birth to me? Why do I exist? Why do I have to hear a fat chimp call itself a fast cheetah? Dad, you came because I lied about the broken mirror. End of discussion.
Paige,
My dad is the ultimate ascetic. He stays calm when his heir is in need, but blasts like a nuke if his hair is in trouble. Ain't that right?
What do I say? I'm retired. I don't have a job or a dime. There's a handful of interest and too much time. Can't spend the whole day squeezing lime. Watching a little basketball isn't a crime.
Paige was pushed to her limit. Gary couldn't admit his uncouth lack of awareness in opening the door, but had the patience to reply in style. He missed the timing when she knocked the door, missed the sillage of his own clumsiness, but didn't miss the rhyming when she asked for an answer. Had the key not been in her possession, she would have been forced to stand and guard the entrance like a security guard, or much worse, she would have waited for hours and eventually done calculus with cockroaches. Paige would opt for that in her most sober of states over teaching in the famed third-grade dissection anyway. "What are you trying to say?" howled Paige like a mountain-top wolf.
I'm retired, no dime, much time, boring lime, sports not a crime. Hence I dissolved into basketball a little. Couldn't hear the door and you hold me hostage for answers. Did you notice something?
"What?"
Go to the kitchen.
"Already did. The gas knob was safely off. Is that the milestone? Should I clap?"
Superb. I ask how your hands are, but you reply your nose is swollen.
"What are you saying? How come you speak English and still half of it hops over me?"
That's because your brain hastens and doesn't listen. Did you go to the kitchen?
"I did."
Was there a cooker?
"There was."
The cooker isn't empty. Rice is cooked and ready for consumption. Saw that, or did you hasten past that?
Hearing what her dad said, the face that served as anger's unforgiving home changed into a smile's cozy cottage. She pinched his cheek where the dimple and its mole sat adorably, and lowered herself onto the sofa with the happiness of half of the kitchen duties put behind. Gary and Paige fought like siblings in a healthy rivalry. It was customary. A Gary who didn't pull Paige's leg and a Paige who didn't criticize Gary could be likened to green elephants. The sort couldn't exist. After putting the television in the bedroom to rest, he dragged his personal favorite wooden chair by the sofa and sat opposite to her when he noticed her dipping into the newspaper with unabated focus.
What are you reading?
"Creative Corner. This place isn't pathetic like the rest of the paper. I can tell why Sarah loves it."
How was Sarah? Was it Marge when she came over? Ask her to come by often. I could use a daughter who laughs at my humor, and I also have plenty of old newspapers for her thirst for stories.
"Why will I refuse when my dad calls Sarah the daughter who laughs at his jokes, and Sarah calls my dad the father she never had?"
Do you know what happened to the guy who had nobody to talk to? A guy for whom silence was a forced fate? A guy whose mouth never found a willing ear? A guy whose vocal cords were on an extended hiatus?
"He died of loneliness?"
The opposite. He lived a long life, and I don't want that. Neither do you.
His voice sounded warmer and softer. His craving for familiar company and the dry fruit of retirement gushed out of his guts. "Why don't you want a long life?" She stopped reading the paper and put forward her doubt with a concerned face.
Who will I annoy for so long before they lose patience and seek silence? A lone, long life sucks. Name the worst singer at the moment.
"I don't know. Blaze?"
I want his fans to be my friends. If they can listen to the worst singer, they can put up with me. Why am I explaining everything? Learn to put two and two together yourself as a math teacher.
"Dad, your jokes, your basketball. I can't."
What's wrong with watching basketball?
"I'm ready to say. You ready to hear?"
Doesn't sound pleasant or promising. I'm ready to hear your insight.
When hair is falling and heading to the casket, why does one like to watch a ball falling into a basket? Does a slam dunk going airline bother a person's fading hairline?
Audacious brat! Thought you had a valuable thing to say, but you had me fooled and mocked. Putting a finger on my baldness has become a hurtful ritual that you've come to praise and practice. I would totally kick you out if it wasn't for the rhyming scheme as cute as my own.
I got tempted by your dime, time, lime, and crime. Gave my own spin to it.
Your mockery is poetry in its own right. Aren't you a cool teacher?
Thanks, Dad. Doing the unexpected is my style. The mockery in Paige's words heightened their healthy rivalry as well as fueled his hidden pride for her. like nature drying up visible leaves as well as strengthening the concealed roots. Their conflict might at times topple a sensitive fence. Their rage did sometimes disturb the balance of fun and feuding, but it never disturbed his cherished truth that she was his dear daughter. Gary viewed her mocking as marshmallows and joyously winked.
Anyways, what are you reading in the creative corner?
Paige lowered the paper that was blocking her view and saw as well as heard her father's make-believe interest, which sounded better than indifference. Dad, there's this story. I don't know much. It's been long running. It has both love and litter. A married man has an affair with another woman and leaves her pregnant. Can you believe that?
Yuck! Leaving one for another? What a train wreck! Is this the kind of stuff that Sarah reads?
For the fourth time, actually. Maybe it doesn't read as bad as it sounds. I think she told me last week that the author died some years ago. This serial is a rerun of the old one that Sarah was obsessed with. A single line of the plot's synopsis incited puking sensations in Gary's stomach. Nev nodded due to the excerpt recited by his daughter, whereas Sarah had been indulging in its experience for the fourth straight time, which convinced him that jumping off a cliff that challenged the endlessness of the four directions was the only option to cleanse his mind of the abhorrence his ears heard. People from respectable upbringings and sheltered backgrounds tend to view such stories in similar light. Paige and Sarah, being modern spawns of the ancient breed, were thus able to fathom and find enjoyment in the story.
Sarah's taste is too similar to your mother's cooking. I can't stand either.
He spoke in disappointment. If Mum's cooking was that awful, why did you eat it and put up with it?
Gary doesn't sink into wet sand for no reason.
Did I just witness some flying sparks of embers in your eyes when you said that? Really scared to know what that rigorous reason might be. She pretended to be eager.
Starving would have led to hunger, which is hell. Eating would have killed my taste buds, which is farewell. I fought hard in choosing between hell and farewell, and decided on farewell. The history of how I endured the food I mocked 6 times a day for 12 years is in your hands.
A good thing has happened in listening to your history.
That is,
I finished 6 rows in the crossword while you spoke about 12 years of hardship.
Joke all you want. Your father is a survivor.
Dad, I was just poking you.
Don't forget, I'm the crowned mayor of goofing around. Remind me and you'll face the whole brunt.
Stop playing around! Let me share a sweet incident from school today. Paige had 2 particular incidents in mind. One was the leave letter debacle, and the other was a paper-related game. The leave letter episode got etched in her mental map as a certified example of classroom trauma not suitable for casual recollection in the absence of trained professionals. 7-year-old Alex's replies were too strong to forget. In the list of science's biggest mysteries that scientists were sweating and scratching incessantly to answer, the question of why Alex was absent on Monday was a powerful contender to be included. It shall be the paper game, she decided. Paige introduced a joyous game to her classroom kids that morning after the $10 bill assignment took a disastrous turn. The kids had to craft something out of a sheet of paper, something that could fly. The one that flew the longest distance would be declared the winner. The entertaining game harbored benefits for the kids and Paige. It was a creative pastime for children, and the 20-odd minutes they took were full of costless, troubleless peace. Letting them play was the best game plan, a truth she learned. Past 20 minutes, the ordinary third graders were ready to unleash their paper products.
Paige, what did they make out of paper?
First was Adam. He made a small paper plane, the kind you taught me to make when I was little.
His father must be a genius like I am.
Whatever you say. The plane was a beauty to behold, but flying was not its stronghold. It fell down as fast as it flew, just 2 feet. Just 2 feet!
No need for emphasis. I heard that. I should have shut up. Called myself a genius and got shamed by the poor plane. Who was next?
Albert came up front with his plane by making funny faces at Adam, who was walking back upset. This one was equally a looker, and had 2 wings. Sadly, its lifespan was an even shorter fling.
Why?
That too flew the same 2 feet, much more unstable and wobbly than the last one.
Poor Albert.
Poor Albert? Poor me! It was paper trash everywhere. Who do you think picked them up and threw them in the dustbin and tidied the place up?
Serves you right for serving me milkless cereal.
Stop playing around!
Tell me who won the game.
I don't have to. You're talking to the winner. I am the victor in my own artistic game. She whipped her hair back and winked at her surprised father.
You? You?
Yes.
But how?
No faith in me?
I do have faith in you, most astonishingly. So which model did you make from the list of paper planes I've taught you?
I said I won, and you're throwing a stupid question in my face. How can I win the game or anything if I adopt one of your designs from the muddy past?
I must observe a vow of silence. I shan't say a word. Stop playing around. Keep saying this phrase and never answer my question. How did you win?
Very simple. While the kids were obsessed with making fancy planes and gliders, I crumpled the sheet of paper into a ball and threw it away. That thing flew from one wall to the opposite without falling.
That's cheating. What you made wasn't a plane.
I never said it had to be a plane, did I? Recall? Rewind? The game only instructed to make something out of paper that can fly the longest. I took advantage of what I said. Everyone assumed what I never said. Gary was very impressed. Hearing his daughter's creative, completely innovative, and thoroughly unexpected move moved his headstrong mind to rippling and waving emotional softness. The characteristic veins that pop when encountering a shock ran across his forehead too, like lines of lightning. Credit goes where it's due. She demonstrated a solution that Gary couldn't see himself manifesting within the confines of the game. Possibly it wasn't the consequence of coming across a shock, but the outcome of a mix of arrogance and pride.
Paige, you really are clever. I didn't expect the ingenious move even the tiniest bit.
Dad, doing the unexpected is my style.
I'm a slave to your style.
Believable. You're a devoted slave to the newspaper and basketball. Isn't that undeniable? By the way, I missed the news in the morning rush. What's buzzing in the world?
I too skipped the paper in my basketball fever. Let's flip the pages once more.
He moved his green towel with the most sensitive among touches so as to not disturb its evening slumber, and picked up the newspaper underneath with the reverence shown towards holy offerings, and started reading.
There's news about depletion of resources and power outage in several countries to conserve power. Don't ruin my few hours of basketball, please God. Then farmers protest against unemployed youngsters who mess up their crops with crop circles. I thought they were made by aliens. President has vowed to improve marriage rates in the country. Hilarious that they celebrated the rise of divorces and now want more clueless men to fall into a rabbit hole pervaded by bloodsuckers and loot leakers. The rest are international news. Let's head to the last page.
Dad, want some water?
Is this a marathon? Let me check. I'm just reading the newspaper, not racing a spotted hyena.
You went from first page to last before I blinked 3 times and you haven't recited one cheerful piece of news. Just worried that you might faint.
Enough. If you can read a dead, lifeless paper, can't Sarah read an eccentric story? Isn't this what you're going to tell me loud and clear?
Nah, not at all. Her smile contradicted what she spoke. Any other news?
There's a photo of a youngster. It's the obituary. Poor kid.
How much will his parents' hearts suffer? Inconsolable torment. Kids die and leave their parents in a pool of pain.
Such a budding age, only 22.
That's my age. God, he must have had so many dreams.
Willowbree is his hometown.
Dad, hold up. Hold your horses. Wait a second.
What?
What was his age again?
22.
Town?
Willowbree.
Dad, can you read his name again?
Sure.
Make it quick.
Yes, here it is.
What is it?
Steve.